Guys, and welcome back to Final Fantasy VIII. Today we're going to go to the Fire Cavern. Now, as promised, I used the magic boost, but it did a bit more than I expected. It gave me Vera, Blizzard, Thandar, Aero, Bio, Kiraga, lots of other things. You can't get blind and sleep in silence, well not blind, but sleep in silence early in the game if you go to the training area in the garden, so it's not too much of a cheat, I guess. But I'm not going to be using them. I'll use the standard spells you can get in early game, and as I get access to Vera, Blizzard and all that, I will use them, but I'm not going to use them at all because it kind of spoils the game in a sense. It gives you way too much of an overpowerful attack to use on many enemies and bosses. So I'm just going to stick with the basic spells. I will quickly run through the junction. Let's just see. I can't believe it gives you so much. It's just ridiculous. Let's just see. Thunder was the main Asuna or Thunder? No, I'm just gonna stick with fire. Can't do elemental attack, and then magic spirit. Probably cure on that. I don't have any elemental attack yet. Nothing here has LMJ. Not that I can see. Still a learning boost. Let's head straight to the Fire Cavern. Now, just a quick note, these two forests at the beginning of the game have pretty weak enemies, but if you're very unlucky, and I do say unlucky because sometimes you can't run away, there's a T-Rex. And they do amazing damage, which is anything but amazing, because I'm just being sarcastic, but yeah, try to avoid them as much as possible. Like I said, I'm gonna skip these tutorials because I can explain it as I go along. But I'm gonna do that myself. So I'll do a video specifically on everyone's limit breaks as soon as I have more to show, really. For now he has Rough Divide, which is the box standard limit break he has. Renzoku I actually said that right. Indicator is on, so I can do that myself. And it's on manual, so I have to pull the trigger myself. She does not have much in the sense of, yeah, she just has Laser Eye, which is the one she starts off with. You can get, what was it called, Spider's Web? Off the caterpillars in the forest, which gives her ultrasonic waves. I can't exactly remember. I'm just like finishing the game so many times I can't remember much about it. But yeah, gives her another limit break. Does basic damage and slow them down as far as I remember, or make them go berserk. Probably make them go berserk. But yeah. Okay, let's get straight into the Fire Cavern. I don't know if this has any effect on your seed exam, to be honest, but I honestly don't think so. And usually people go for 30 or 20 minutes. I'll go for 30 because I haven't done much leveling or getting any GF abilities, but usually you can actually do it in 20 or 10. I'm just being cautious because, you know, it's a playthrough, stuff goes wrong. With my luck, stuff will go wrong, so I'm just gonna like err on the safe side and let's go. Oh, by the way, this is like Quist is at her like most cringy, because she's trying to impress Cole so much. Yeah, and whatever is true, because she does have feelings for him, but it's just sad that she tries it that way. I mean, I say it's sad, but most people like act like that around their crushes, and you just, especially if you end up dating, you just like go back on those memories and you think, why did I do that? It was so stupid. But yeah, we all have our moments. These are pretty standard red bats. I don't know which side is the trigger now. Wonders of selective memory. I don't know, the older I'm getting, the worse my memory is getting. I'm saying older, I'm not 30, so it's just sad. I can do one thing one day and do something like, oh, there's one thing I do have to do. Just put her ability, take item away, which is kinda risky because if Squall gets knocked out, I only have one person who can actually revive someone. I'll skip that though, because I won't need that for a while now. Actually, water ice magic. Do that, and let's put him on T-Mag. Wind only comes in later, but Tornado is quite a good spell to junction because it gives you quite the good boosts. Here's a draw point. There is nothing on this side, so don't even bother running there unless you're like just training for the sake of it. But generally, nothing in here. I always thought there was something more in here. I used to read these bogus books that would say do this and that and press these buttons so many times, and then yeah, it's a load of shite. Elemental has, for some reason in this game, the logic is that fire hates ice. Makes sense that fire hates water. No, I'm not complaining. I have Shiva. I will use her because she's amazing. Still bugs me so bad that they got this one. Stop. As much as it's silly to say, but this is probably like the first test that you're gonna struggle in this game. If you can't get through Ifrit, then it's an indicator that you need to train more, or just like read up about the game or do something. Not that it's very complex, but they have boost now. I had a spaz moment there. But yeah, it's a pretty standard tutorial stage, if you can call it that, because these enemies, look at this, I'm probably gonna kill them in one shot. Ah, I am wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy to get through here. There is nothing in shape or form besides the bombs that could kill you, and if you just use Shiva or ice magic, then you're pretty much set to survive this. So, without further ado, I'll get straight into the Ifrit battle. Well, yeah, Cypher just misuses his potential as much as possibly can, because he's a stupid twat. No, I'm not ready, I just came here for the fun of it. Love the boss music in this game. I'll never forget it. So many painful moments, but still. Let's see how I go along. Ah, 94 damage is not too bad. It's pretty standard. Pretty standard damage for this stage of the game, but like I said, I don't have anything boosting my magic skill. Usually I'd have water, but layout is different than what I'm used to, so this is quite difficult doing it with one hand only. Oh, 40% is good enough. Yes I do, and you're gonna regret this. Let's see, magic. Blizzard on him. It's pretty, this is gonna be a boring battle because it's pretty much just more of the same. Just give him a go. Just give him a cure. Not bad for a human, eh? Soon you will be my bitch. Ha! Impressive. But is it Shiva impressive? I think not. And you're gonna piss her off more, like trying to light her on fire. because I put the button configuration different to what it originally was, I literally have to... bugger me. Well, that's how not to do it. 79%, that's a B+. No, it's not too bad. Oh well, possibility. I think there's only one GF you can easily get to. 215, that's Eden, and that's way later in the game. Difficult for them to make the game more difficult by starting you off with 75%. Boost it, boost it! Nice extra 27% damage. Bye bye! Let's see some good info on Ifrit. Delve into his closet. Level 6 has 1000 HP. Fire Guardian Force uses fire magic. You don't say. It's a strong opponent, but as it's part of Guardian's exam, it's not impossible to defeat him. Definitely isn't. Weak against ice, which is again Captain Obvious. Absorbs fire. You don't say. Let's just see. Freak him out a bit, make him a little bit sick so he can't be as effective. Okay, let's take care of him. As bosses go, this is as difficult as a normal enemy fight. And bye bye. I should take care of him. You lose all the time. You're only like the first Guardian Force you ever fight. We're so close, man. Jesus. G Returner, which you don't have to use too many times. Ifrit card gets useful after a while. And I got the achievement Ifrit. That's like getting the achievement of starting the game. Good, you got yourself a GF. Third one. LMJ ability. Again, I'll show it instead of you having to read boring text. Yep. So what you do is, now that you have ye old Ifrit, which is also a good strength boost, by the way, so let's just do that. Fire magic, because I'm in the fire cavern. Here is your elemental attack. Now, while it's not very useful to use it, because elemental doesn't really play so much of a big part in this game, I'll be honest. I mean, you can easily wipe everything without using anything specific elemental wise. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe my characters are overpowered, maybe I'm just an asswipe and I've never tried to use it. Most I use is Ultima, because who wouldn't want to use that? But there's not much point to like playing into specific elemental characteristics, because you go from one area where it's positive and you do more damage to the next area where it's just useless. So stick with standard damage. If you can put a status effect on, that's quite useful, but initially not really, unless it's one of these guys. But you can see I do significantly more damage because I have Blizzard on, but even without it you have Shiva. It's not necessary, and using your Guardian Force when it gets to an elemental situation is just, got lucky there, a lot easier. I mean, let's just try to compare the damage between me using Blizzard, and then I'll actually stick to the story. Stop trying to over-explain things. Let's just give him a taste of Shiva. And I'm not gonna boost her, I'm just gonna let her do standard damage. The only thing that bugs me about boost is, once you get it, and you want like a nice, just clean shot of the Guardian Force doing its job, you can't anymore because you reduced it by 25% of the damage, which is quite annoying. But other than that, I mean, later on you don't really need it anymore because they do a lot of damage. research and it's absolutely shit. So, hey kids, how to be a good YouTuber. Do your research. Okay. 1 EP. But yeah. Most of the game is self-explanatory. Nothing of it besides the card game rules is very complex. And even then, if you just put some time and effort into it, it's not too bad, so... Oh no, 2 bats. There you go. Yeah, even if I walked over Ballan Plains, there's 2 enemies I can think of that are resistant to Blizzard, so... Since I'm in here, I might leave it on until I'm outside, but it just doesn't have much of a plus. The defense, definitely, that can save you a hell of a lot of damage, but specifically on the attack, not so useful. Especially against these guys initially, it's a good little boost, because if they decide to grow and explode, you kind of want to do enough damage and stop them beforehand. Bye bye. So, one thing I'm not going to talk about very much, since I don't talk a lot at all, is where to farm what. I am not very good with that. I know the odd bits and pieces. Don't need that yet. Let's go with HP and you're doing boost. Gosh, we'll do strength. Yeah, I don't know where to farm things. Some of the bits are self-explanatory, like bomb fragments. You get them from bombs. They don't drop that often. You can probably mug them when you get mug after eventually killing Diablos. Well, not killing, beating him. Which is a task in itself, which I'll get into in the next few videos. But specific drops and where to find specific enemies, I'll have to do some research into that. I've been to every bit in the game, the Island of Heaven and the Island of Hell, but never seem to like find everything, even though I go to exactly where it's supposed to be. But as every good gamer goes, you're not that good really, you just think you are. Thing I am gonna do in between episodes is I'm going to go to the coast, and I'll show you in a second what I'll fight and why. I think I mentioned it in the previous video, I did show them. But there's a specific something they drop, which they drop quite often. Oh, this level, but it gives you the spell Water, which in itself is not very useful as an attacking skill, but as something to equip to either boost your strength, vitality, magic early on is very useful. Right, I'm gonna go straight to the... I'll just show you, because if I go back now I'll have to start the seed exam, which is gonna be my next episode. So these little guys, they can do quite a bit of damage. Not too much to be anything to worry about, honestly. But it's best to like usually just hit them and then let them come out of the ground, because you do more damage. Even the GF do more damage when they're out of the ground, so it's just makes it easier task, but it's not really necessary. One thing I've never looked into, and I don't think it's a good thing. I remember way back when someone asking if once you learn boost, even though you don't use it, does it automatically like cut down your damage by 25%? I've never looked into it. I don't think they would do that because that would be a humongous flaw, but I never got the answer, so if someone knows, please leave the answer in the comments below. It's really quite good to know that, otherwise I just initially boost them every time I use them. Boost. So what else is good about Ifrit? It is that. Now you do get, I would suggest to learn these as soon as possible. Don't worry, you should probably try to get that as well. I'd say alternate, but get these as soon as possible because you end up getting strength bonus, which gives you either 2 or 3 points of base stats for strength every time you level up. What you want to do as soon as possible to get your strength up because it's the main type of damage you will ever do. Which, especially when you get to the end of the game, you don't want to be using very powerful spells to boost your strength because you'll be using them most likely. And secondly is, let's say that spell's junction, the final boss, which I'll eventually get to, has a skill to basically destroy said spell on your junction system, which means if you have 255 of a set stat, let's go to scroll for an example, like you have 9,999 HP because you have Kiraga on it and she hits you and you lose about 4,000 of that, then it's quite painful. So you don't want that type of thing to happen, so boost your stats as soon as possible. There's other ways as well, which I'll get to eventually, but yeah, the sooner you do that type of thing the better. You don't need to do major damage if you just alternate between your Guardian Force and basic damage and just play smart. You don't need to have like permanent boosts on the whole time. This is partly why I'm trying to get the water spell as well, because it's quite useful. Lucky enough, eventually I'll just kill them in one go. Let's see if I can get this right this time. Most of these summons, oh great, and come on, but yeah, most of these summons are so short, they don't give you much time to boost it, so unless you do it the old PlayStation where you have a spaz attack and just smash the button and like cost yourself a controller every now and then. Besides initially in the game, it's kind of pointless to use it later on because you do plenty of damage. Guardian Force, I am getting every one of them legitimately, so I'll be doing specific like pointers on where to get what and how to get them. Because some of them are side quests, you have no idea how to do it. Some of them are very difficult to get, aka Thunberg, if you didn't know that is a Guardian Force. That is very difficult to get. And it only comes later in the game, but I will be doing do's and don'ts and how to get them without dying type of thing. And like I've mentioned, the occult fan has to do with actually getting one, and there's key giveaways in that. Let's just do that quickly. So yeah, I'll try not to make it too boring, which I can gather I'm already doing, but just for those that don't know and don't just, I mean, there's walkthroughs and yes you can read them, but I've had plenty of walkthroughs, and just to find the information and you don't see what they do and they're telling you, oh go here and it's here, and some have screenshots, but it's just so vague. Maybe I'm just really bad at following instructions, but I'd rather do videos on them and like properly show you how to do it, and probably freak out at some of them because some of the fights are proper difficult. Yeah, $100 is pretty cheap. Well, there's two reasons why I came here. I can rest up, heal, which I don't necessarily have to do, but it's a nice view, honestly. Secondly, one of the side quests, I can't really call it a side quest, but basically it helps gather information on a very key person in the story, is the Timber Maniacs. Now, you don't actually get to read it or see it, but you do get snippets of it later in the game. And it gives you quite cool information. I mean, it's something they could have not put in the game, in a sense, and they would have gotten away with it. But yeah, it's quite nice that they add that little tidbit of information. So if you ever get into the garden again after everything goes on, then do it and go to the, I think, garden committee. They'll have some good information. For those that don't know, there's a cure draw point there. For those that don't cheat like me, because I'm a lazy bastard. There's a guy sleeping there later. And as it's very obvious, there's a thunder draw point here. No one needs it, obviously. And for another Asuna one that I saw recently, there's a blizzard one above the fire cavern, by the way. But if you go down the tracks right there at the back, let's just see if I can put it into focus now. I can't. There is an Asuna draw point, which I never knew about, but I was watching another channel the other day just to get an idea of what to do, what not to do, and I've not done any of it typically. I saw there's an Asuna draw point that I never knew about, which, especially against the first boss that you can kind of fight away from the garden, is quite useful. It's heavy status attack based. But yeah, let's just get back to the garden without like spamming attacks too much. It's quite easy to turn in this game if you just use the environmental like triggers. So yeah, that was the fire cavern. I mean, it's a pretty uneventful fight, pretty easy fight. But I hope some of the tips I gave could help someone that has never played the game before. Taking care of your GF, as you've seen me, like, I'll skip this as well, because I've done it plenty in here, and I think most people already know. Let's just get out of this. What she's referring to is just me assigning skills like I have before, choosing which is going to suit you, because I'll say this one's good, that one's bad, but like I said before, it's up to you. It's up to your playstyle, what you enjoy, what you think is important, what isn't important. It's not very critical in the sense that if you miss one, there's no way you're like winning the next boss type of thing. It's not necessary. Just do what you think is right. If you fail, just load an old save game, practice a bit, and that's it. There's not very many situations or times in the game that if you haven't did something, if you don't have a specific skill that you literally can't do it, the game is somewhat forgiving. Let's just save the game. I could have used the freaking thing. I give advice, say use the console, and especially for YouTube videos that would be nice to use, but I guess I can be extremely bright sometimes. On a non-technical note, just obviously people that have played this game imagine being in this world, but just imagine being in a school, learning magic, and of fighting monsters. You have chance of dying, but I mean, it would be so amazing to actually live in this type of universe. It just seems like they have a lot more freedom, probably a lot more issues as well, because a lot of people are like involved in paramagic and fighting for governments and all this, but I don't know, it just feels like you have so much more of a hold of your life if you live this type of life. Any case, this is where the seed exam starts, and I will see you guys in the next episode.